Hey, witches! Hi, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Japanese Folklore.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be a short one today because it's gonna be just me talking about where's my pronunciation? Amaterasu. So basically, set the scene. You wake up one morning and the sun is like, just I'm not gonna rise. Not gonna do it. The fields and the
Same.
crops and everything just freeze. The gods are panicking. Demons are roaming freely. All because one goddess is a little bit mad, um, and in hiding. Goddess is Amaterasu. Amaterasu. And she is the
Say that 5 times fast.
right. She is the Shinto sun goddess. Um, and yeah, we're just gonna dive right into it. So her name, Amaterasu Ōkami, means great divinity illuminating heaven. So the sun. She is one of the most important deities in Shinto and is born from the creator god that we talked about last time, Izanagi. She just popped out of his left eye during a purification ritual, Just poop, there she is.
Here we go.
She has two siblings, and I am going to apologize right now because I'm going to butcher at least one of these. Um, Tsukiyomi, who is god of the moon, and Susanoo, which is the storm god, which I think we've talked about him before. But anywho's, um, in a lot of what am I gonna say, like Western mythologies, the sun deities are male. Um, but in this one, in most Japanese mythology, they are female and represent like light, order, agriculture, harmony, and basically civilization itself, because as we all know, if the sun goes out, we're fucked. So, um, basically, Amaterasu is keeping the entire universe balanced and in line. I gotta look at something
So it's smart not to piss her
because
off.
my notes just confused me a little bit. So I gotta just look something up real quick. Sometimes we just beep 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 beep. Okay. Okay. So who is Amaterasu? We kind of talked about this. She is the sun goddess. She is one of the central deities of Shinto. Um, her family is a wee bit dramatic. Um, specifically, Susanoo is kind of a disaster, which I feel like we kind of talked about that already briefly. Um, but what the heck just happened? What just happened? Something crazy just happened.
I'll stop letting it happen.
Sorry, I just got really confused for a second. Okay, so the story is, and I feel like we may have talked about this briefly in either the Izanagi or Izanami episode, but Susanoo is destructive, reckless. He destroys rice fields. He smears filth in sacred places is literally the sentence from the source. And he throws a flayed horse into Amaterasu's weaving hall. So yeah, and in this time, um, weaving halls were sacred spaces. So Amaterasu was pissed. Um, in fact, it was such a shocking thing for him to do that one of Amaterasu's attendants dies from shock and from injury from like flying horse parts, but like dies, okay? So
Damn.
Amaterasu is pissed about this. She decides basically that she's had enough. And so she goes to this cave. And this cave is called Ama-no-Iwato. And the entrance is sealed. Does this sound familiar? Because it sounds familiar to me. They go into a cave and they roll the rock in front of the entrance. You know, it just sounds familiar. Anyway, um, because of this, the world falls into darkness. Crops start to fail. These demons start to emerge. The rest of the gods are panicking because remember, Amaterasu is balance. So now that she's gone, everything has descended into chaos. Some of the interpretations of this are like, people are like, oh, this was a solar eclipse. This was the seasons changing. This is representative of depression or grief or withdrawal after a trauma. Um, but basically, this is a story about the fragility of civilization. Because again, if the sun goes out, we're fucked. um, but there's something really relatable and almost human about a goddess who just shuts the door and is like, nope, fuck you, I'm not coming out. You made me mad. Now I'm going to be petty and I'm not coming out.
Here we go.
Here we go. um, so like I said, the other gods are panicking, right? They're like freaking out and they're like, how do we get her to come back? Because if she doesn't come back, we're all fucked. Um, so, um, Ame-no-Uzume, who is the goddess of dawn, revelry, dance, and performance, um, has an idea. And she ends up being like the key player in this scene. So they're all gathered outside of this cave. And it says a tub. I'm imagining like a washing basin. So like a big, like circular tub that's rather tall for her to stand on top of. She turns it over so it's upside down like a stage. And she stands on top of it. Remember, she's the goddess of revelry. So she starts this like crazy wild dance. And all of the other gods that are there are laughing and like it's kind of becoming a little bit raucous and crazy. So Amaterasu is like, fuck is going on out there? Kind of like peeking out. And they hold up a mirror. Mirrors are a common theme on this podcast here lately, apparently. So they hold up this mirror. And she happens to see the mirror is called Yata no Kagami. But Amaterasu is that bitch. So she sees her reflection and she's like, hey, look at me, and checking herself out. And as she's checking herself out in this mirror, one of the gods pulls her out of the cave and light returns to the world. So it wasn't really her choice to come back out, but she didn't go back in after they pulled her out. So that's something, I guess. So this story is typically connected to, like, why it matters is it's connected to the origins of ritual dance in Shinto. Kagura performances, which I'm assuming, or sorry, Kagura performances, which I think we'll probably get into later, but it's a traditional sacred dance that's performed at the shrines. and the theme is like restoring balance and laughter as sacred and bringing light back into the darkness. Um, and they also, because of this myth, there are ceremonial mirrors in Shinto shrines. Um, and they have festivals and community celebration as spiritual healing. Um, and one thing to note about this myth is that the gods didn't solve this crisis with violence, even though it kind of started with violence. It wasn't solved with violence. It was solved with music, dancing, laughter, and community. Um, so all of this mythology ties in kind of like how Egyptian mythology tied into the lines of the pharaohs, or like they were the pharaohs were the gods rebirth or whatever. It's the same, not the same, but it's a similar thing with imperial mythology. So Amaterasu in the imperial line is considered the divine ancestor. So all of Japan's imperial family is considered to be descended from Amaterasu. Her grandson, oh God, Nanigi no Mikoto was sent to Earth to rule. So Amaterasu's grandson was sent to Earth to rule, and his descendants became the emperors of Japan. And then so there are three sacred treasures, which I know we mentioned this in one of the earlier episodes, but there are the mirror of wisdom, the sword of valor, and the jewel of benevolence. This mirror in this myth of Amaterasu is the mirror of wisdom. So this is like the important mirror. Um, Another thing to remember and that is really important to acknowledge during this is that Shinto is a living religion. So there are people that still practice this religion, and these stories are spiritually meaningful for many people. And this mythology has also been tied to political power and national identity. So if we get anything wrong or say anything incorrectly or anything like that, please don't feel bad about correcting us because we're not
We can't
perfect.
even say our own language
Yeah,
correctly
I can
sometimes,
barely
so
speak English, let alone another language. But if we're getting any of the stories wrong, please correct us, and we will correct ourselves on an episode. Another story, just real quick, is um the story between Amaterasu and her brother Tsukuyomi. Um, and this story is supposed to help answer the question of why are the sun and the moon separated in the sky. Um, Basically, um, Amaterasu sends Tsukuyomi to visit the goddess of food and nourishment, who is Uke Mochi. Uke Mochi. Um, and so Mochi prepares this huge feast for Tsukuyomi, sorry. Um, and it's like this big thing. But the shocking twist about this feast that she creates is depending on the myth, she either creates the food from her mouth or from various parts of her body. Um, but Tsukuyomi is like, what the fuck? Okay. He's like, this is wild. What are you doing? He's horrified. Um, and believing this to be impure because it comes from her body, he kills her. So Tsukuyomi kills Mochi, and Amaterasu is pissed. Um,
uh, with good reason.
yeah. So she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? She says, I never wish to see you again. And from that moment onward, they live apart. So the sun and the moon are now separated, and day and night are forever divided. So some themes to explore and to think about with this myth are purity and taboo in Shinto thought, because obviously Tsukuyomi thought it was like taboo to eat of another person's flesh, which, you know, whatever. But also the sacred nature of food, because like she created this beautiful feast for you of her own self and you rejected it. Um, Also thinking about different perspectives of what is clean or unclean, because Amaterasu was like, "What is wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with that. It's fine." It was like a divine thing, and Tsukuyomi is like, "Ew." So, but this is also another prime example of mythology explaining a natural phenomena. So this is mythology and a story that people created to explain the difference between night and day. Um, but basically, um, the whole thing is about, or that is the whole thing about Amaterasu. Some fun facts are like bonus content. Um, the grand shrine is called Ise Jingu, and it is dedicated to Amaterasu. This shrine is ritually rebuilt every 20 years. Um, and then just to tie it into like modern day, or not modern day, because this is still a living religion, so it's still practiced, but to tie it into pop culture, Amaterasu appears in countless anime, manga, and video games. So even if you've never studied Shinto mythology, there's a good chance you've already encountered Amaterasu, um, because there are a lot of characters that are based on her, if not actual replications of her. Um, Sometimes she appears directly as herself, and other times, again, a character inspired by her. So specific instances of this, in Naruto, um, there is a black flame technique used by some of the characters that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, and it is named Amaterasu. Um, and the series also references Tsukuyomi and Susanoo. Um, there is an anime called Noragami, which features many Shinto gods and mythological concepts, and Amaterasu appears as a high ranking heavenly deity associated with order and divine authority. And Kamigami no Asobi is a mythology crossover anime where gods from multiple different traditions interact. And Amaterasu is a prime or a big figure in that. Probably the one other than um, Naruto that most Americans are going to have heard of is Sailor Moon. There is not a direct appearance. Yeah, there is not a direct appearance of Amaterasu in Sailor Moon, but many fans and scholars note that Sailor Mars is is all of Sailor Mars character echoes Amaterasu in Shinto tradition. So like the shrine maiden imagery, the solar symbolism, and the sacred mirrors of Sailor Mars are.
And I tell you what, Sailor Mars will pop that one of those little protection papers on you,
Yeah,
fuck you up.
very reminiscent of Amaterasu. And then the last one that the last anime that I think that some Americans would know, people that are into anime, is Inuyasha. Um,
Oh, that's a good fucking
I haven't
anime.
watched
Oh
it,
my
but that one
god.
is on my list.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
So
It's so funny. God, it's so funny.
it again does not directly reference Amaterasu, but it contains numerous references to the Shinto folklore and sacred objects, which are inspired by the myths of Amaterasu. Um, and then the most famous video game adaptation is, pause, when the O has the line over the top of it. How do you pronounce that? Ukami? Akami? Anyway, it's the O with the line across the top, Kami. And it is an Amaterasu adaptation video game. So, gonna just copy and paste that over here and put pronunciation. Ōkami.
Oh,
Ōkami. And it translates to wolf in Japanese. But it can also sound similar to Great God, which is perfect for a game about Amaterasu appearing as a divine white wolf. So,
yeah, it's a prolonged version of the vowel, like go
okay.
or ho.
Okay. Yeah, but that is Amaterasu. Hey, 20 minutes almost on the dot. Look at me go. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Cool. Well, there is your folklore episode for. Oh my God, my hair clip. I've been looking for one of these. These are literally my work hair clips, and I've been like, where the fuck have my hair clips gone? And I, I have like 4 of these, and this is the only one I found in like 3 weeks.
That's hilarious.
So, anyways, that is your folklore episode. And next time, I don't know what we're gonna talk about, but
Yeah, I don't know.
until next time.
Bye.